they need to, like, they can't mess around with it for too long, or they're going to risk Whipple managing to get Uber by the time the push is concluded. It looks like they've learned from their previous mistakes. Son about to get it, and if history is any guide, they'll take Demo Scout top left.
Yeah, he's got 10 seconds of opportunity now, but he can't hang around. They have to go with it now. And in comes High. He's just going to be streaming forwards here, but they've missed the Pyro. He didn't focus him. And down he goes eventually, but now they need to be playing the point. The point has been just completely ignored in previous pushes, but they have managed to play it this time. They've forced the drop from all of the Sacred players, and they've forced the Uber charge. Yeah, and Riot's the only person really left in a position to defend. Rondo's going to run on with 26 health. But that one's not going to work either, and it's a well-executed push in the end from Kids.
Yeah, just something to note that Sacred have been playing a Pyro there close up, like I think almost every time they've held last. Like, totally standard thing to do, and it's one of the reasons that the Demo Scout Uber can be so effective, is that the Scout can shoot the Pyro. But what they just missed to do was Scout didn't check for the Pyro, which meant that the medic was locked up there for about 10 seconds. Well, not actually 10 seconds, hyperbole, but we're going to move on to the next mid-fight. Drams takes an early rocket. He's going to get absolutely destroyed by Riot. Huge midi coming out from him. And
if they
Son
consolidate
and
so just push across the point here, though, like the bomb in did about 300 damage to Lei and Otson. It destroyed them both. The medic was down to 11 health. The demo was down to 5. And they just weren't able to come into the fight. They had to back all the way out. That removes heals, that removes area control, just straight out of the choke. It was just an easy win. It was a singular play that won them that mid as well. They threw their roamer in, he did 1 billion damage, and they managed to clean up the enemy roamer.
Yeah, we are going to see pretty much a free capture go here. We do have a bit of spam from Kids, but they know that it's without having any position on bats, it's really, really hard to get a good Uber out to block the second point. And it should be an Uber versus Uber last defense. Last time we saw a rush of the point from Sacred, and hopefully they'll be aware of it this time. We do have stickies on the point and a scout playing down there, so we should have nothing similar happen again. Kai taking down to 48 health, but he's going to grab the health pack, and it's going to be interesting to see what they go for. Looks like it's going to be a soldier jumping out from under. Right, does get taken down, but he forces the Uber.
Yeah, that was really well coordinated, actually. They had both of their soldiers go at the same time, but they lost the scout as well. That's disastrous. That's honestly really bad play there from Kai, because his soldiers had set up such an excellent opportunity for them, and now they only have 2 players left alive to defend Whipple. And so if they, if 27 had got the force out of Whipple there, that would have been all Kai's fault, honestly. But the double soldier play was really well coordinated. Sacred soldiers, Riot just kind of threw himself in as the sacrifice through the very tiny tunnel top left at the same time as Shupa came and bombed from main, and now they're going to be pushing with this overcharge advantage. They've already got a pick on a soldier and they're playing the point effectively, and that is really nice row for that round.
The strength in that push was just we've criticised Kids in the past for not playing the point enough. There it was really clear from like start to finish that the point was the main focus of their push. They sacked a player onto it, put all their stickies all over it, and just made it impossible for Kids to really contest when they didn't have Uber. On this mid fight, I'm going to be watching Scandalous as he takes his fight under the point, chipping away at both scouts, and looks like he's going to take a fat rocket and have to back off. We see Son go down, Shupa goes down as well, Riot picking up Drams, and it's going to be very low health for both teams actually, but now it's resolved into a 4v2. But Scandalous coming back into this fight, how much can he get done? All 3 players have very, very low health here. Oh, but he's not going to be able to get it done.
High still could do it though. There's a combined less than 100 health on everybody apart from Riot. And unfortunately he took too much damage, wasn't able to juke the train effectively, and will have to back out of that one. But I just want to call out Shupa as well, because he came in with a lightning fast bomb and just absolutely destroyed Sun in 2 rockets. Just slammed him. So doing excellent work on both of the previous mid-fights. He's doing a fantastic job roaming for his team on Bradland's middle.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem with that mid for Kids, for me, like at the end of it, was that their scouts were so like disjointed in their coordination. There are so many players on the Sacred side under 100 health, under 60 health, like well inside, even like medium range, like meat shot sort of territory. But their scouts ran out one at a time. I think if they go together there, they manage to get at least 2 more kills, maybe even win the mid if things go their way, but at the very least significantly delay the push that Whipple's going to be able to lead here. They do have 20% Uber ad, but it doesn't look like they'll be able to use it, and really like I just don't. I think this rate is mainly due to grinding, and it's always difficult to push off an ad like that. I think we can expect on past form some sort of soldier bomb round corner at the same time as they do a split from patio or something. We are seeing the medic group up in-house. A soldier coming in there. Uber popped very, very early from front. They're looking to get really, really aggressive to house, but they just haven't forced it. The Uber's about to run out, and they still have not forced the Uber from Sacred. And the Uber's going to come out now. It does look like the Blue Pocket's going to, or Blue Roam's going to do a great job of holding them there in-house, so they can't kill the medic, but still.
High's going to be attempting to sandwich them here in choke though. Uga goes down, Rondo as well, and that's such a nice flank there from the scout of Kids, saving his team from a disastrous situation. And really, if they're trying to cut the point here, if I'm Lei, I would be trying to spam definitely, because you know that everybody's weak and you know that they can't really commit to a fight on you when they're trying to get the capture out before you get respawners. So I would have certainly gone for that. I think he could have got a large amount of damage onto Kai and Shupa, but he just to back off, chose to play it a little bit safer. He's going to stickies on the point now, and their team's going to set up. They have this small Uber advantage due to the death of Whipple, but I don't think they're going to be able to use it whatsoever.
Oh, Ohai and SPJ combined to take down Kai and Rondo. It's now 3 down for Sacred, while only 2 have gone down for Kids. They do have that small Uber advantage. It looks like they're just going to be content to sit on their last.
Scandalous just runs out and he just double meat shots Uga as well, just opening things up for his team. The rest of his team is so far behind though. He's going to meet what? He just meets Kai and obliterates him as well, just instant 2-shot. Shupa's going to try and defend the Spire by a little bit of time, but this Ubercharge disadvantage that Whipple had has forced a little bit of passage positioning from the rest of his team, and they're not really in a position to back him up. Rondo has fallen as well, and again the scouts from Kids are just playing so aggressively. They take a ton of damage whenever they do it, and they're always at risk of dying. It's not like their movement's incredible, but just the sheer balls out aggression is pushing back Sacred.
Yeah, I think Kids have just been taking so much like position just by being willing to like put themselves on the line a lot more than the Sacred players. They've been willing to go down to like low healths if it means driving the enemy like off the high ground, or being able to like free up a lot of room for their soldiers to jump freely, and it's been their most effective tactical game. Is this a pause here?
I believe so.
Well, it gives us I suppose a good opportunity to look at the state of the game. It's 3 minutes and 50 something seconds on the clock. 3-2 to Sacred, which means this is the reason why Kids did that sort of ill-advised push into mid before, and it's the reason why they now have to be the aggressor. They need to catch up that round within the next sort of 3 minutes 50, or they're going to lose. Simple as that. Just looking at the scoreboard, we can see sort of the players who've been having the greatest impact. And like we talked about, the scouts of Kids have been doing, I suppose, the most work for them, although a lot of those points are probably cap points. But on the red team, it's actually their pocket, Riot, who's been doing, I'd say maybe the majority, or like a lot of the impact fragging for them. Riot, obviously, having experience in Premier Division last season, and a lot of the other players on his team coming from, I believe some of them won Div 2, a few of them played around that level. So they obviously have the experience at the sort of the top echelons of TF2 in Australia to be able to probably use their experience to close down the map here, you'd think.
Yeah, there are 4 minutes left. Before we went into the pause, of course, the timer does tick down, but there was 4 minutes left, so 4 minutes for Kids to try and either draw this one level or push this one forwards. They've looked like they've been going toe-to-toe with Sacred the entire time. They've just lost out on a few more engagements. It's been very close between these two teams, but they can certainly make things happen here. They just need to follow their scouts in and support them in all of these situations. Make sure that they have the support that they need going forwards, because whenever High and Scandalous want to make room, they certainly are. Sacred are giving them a lot of respect, perhaps more than they really deserve, given that they're doing a lot of damage to them whenever they do go aggressive. But it seems Sacred maybe a little bit easy to scare off a point. So if Kids dial it up a gear and go a little bit more aggressively, we could be seeing a very different scoreline in a few minutes' time.
Yeah, it does feel like Sacred, like I think a few players on their team are like well-renowned sort of MGE heroes, and it feels like they're sort of not using their deathmatching ability, or I suppose like the raw ability they have to maybe out-aim a few of the players on the kids' side to their forced advantage, simply by the fact that they're, I suppose, a bit too worried that they're going to die. They're, you know, playing sort of, they're willing to give up room, which there's no real need for them to give up. They're willing to sort of take a step back when during the Ubers, and which means they're not getting quite the players they need in the post-Uber situation sometimes. And I feel like if their team sort of aggressiveness as a whole was able to match the level of kids, I feel like we probably wouldn't be seeing even the closeness of the game that we have at the moment. This 3-2 scoreline, I feel, has been down to both a combination of great play from the Blue Scouts, for the kids Scouts, and just the lack of sort of concerted aggression from the Sacred team.
Yeah, I think so as well. Schuper's been doing a really big job on the mid fights, and in general just kind of roaming around. He's getting a lot of work done, as is Riot. Really, he's been a very solid pocket for the duration of this game, but I think it really comes down to Rondo and Kai. They haven't really been having an impact in the same way that the Scouts of kids have. I don't think they've been really using their talents aggressively enough, and conversely, on mid fights, I don't think they've been staying alive enough. I think they're frequently one of the first picks on mids. They're not able to keep themselves alive and really just be powerhouses at the end of mid, one of them chasing, one of them just cleaning up frags. And so instead it falls to the soldiers on their team really to be doing the muscle work, and the soldiers are less movement dependent. They are tied to the medic in some ways, so it forces your team to play a little less aggressively when you're relying on your soldiers to do a lot of the heavy lifting. And it also looks like Uga occasionally is getting hung out to dry, whether or not that's him overextending or whether it's the rest of his team backing him up. Occasionally you'll see Uga just ahead of his team, trying to take engagements that the rest of his team are not in a position to back him up with. Occasionally the same with Lei as well, but it really seems like the Sacred are maybe split into two parts with slightly more passive scouts and aggressive soldiers, and it's the aggressive soldier coming forwards there as we unpause that forces it straight out of Sun.
And we are going to see Ubers traded out, rushing back into choke out of the Uber from onto Riot and Uga. They do flash the demo man behind, which means they're not going to be able to get as much done with this Uber as they might have liked. Uga is going to get taken down by a combination of the two players, and now we're going to see Whipple goes down, but it's only Son left up with, and he's going to fall. 27, the spawner, not going to be there in time, and this is really worrying. If from a kid's perspective, they need to hold this last defense, and they need to get enough of a concerted push to own to sweep all the way to the Sacred last point, and they're going to have to do it with Uber disadvantage because Son was such a late death in that fight.
Yeah, they will have a bit of an Uber disadvantage. I think perhaps what they need to do in this situation is just consolidate and just wait for a push to come in, but that really does put the ball in Sacred's court. They can knock as much time off the point as they would like. So perhaps really the heads up play from the kids here is that if they're presented with any kind of opportunity to get a pick, take a favourable Uber trade, to try and take a fight in upper lobby where they'll get a favourable exchange, they should really go for it, because with only really 2.5 minutes left and 3-2 down, they can't wait all day and all night for Sacred to be pushing into them. And they have lost a player as well. They lost Scandalous there, who will be rejoining now. Some connection issues perhaps, fairly high ping. It looks like they are going to be going aggressive, but that's almost awful. No, confirmed awful, because as speed falls there, Son is also forced to pop off the Uber charge. They're going to take an Uber trade in upper lobby, but that is all Sacred. And although I liked the idea, the execution was poor.
Yeah, I think they chose the wrong spot to push from in that situation. I think they should have been trying to force 2v1s on the flank, or trying to see like a trade where their combos could actually fight each other, rather than trying to like sneak players in through bottom lobby and trying to like Uber into them from the low ground, which I felt was never really going to have much of an impact. I'm watching Lei on this mid, trying to sticky up the Sacred train. He's going to get jumped by the soldier onto the medic.
Great shot from Riot, double air shot on that mid on 27, and both of the soldiers have fallen from kids.
Yeah, it's Lei, Son, Ohai and Scandalous, but they're all cut off from each other. We've got one scout who's going to die at choke, one scout who's going to die at valley, and the medic and demo are all the way back onto Greybridge. But it does look like they're trying to get aggressive here and trying to sort of bully them back into choke, but it's not really going to work. They're going to have to back off into lobby. It's too much of a disadvantage for them. Son's going to have 85% to hold it last. and he should be able to build that Uber charge up. But we do see both soldiers go down, who seemingly just sort of sacrifice themselves for almost nothing onto that spire there. Means holding last is going to be such an effort. Unless Lei manages to pick up both kills, Rondo in onto the point, and the Uber's going to be popped off from Son. They're going to be able to block the point for almost for long enough, it looks like. We are going to see both demos trying to put their stickies on the point. Hold is good for now, and now we have these soldier spawners, which was such a disadvantage in the initial push, are now going to mean that they're able to fight. Medic trying to get onto the point. Whipple is going to get taken down. 32 seconds left on the clock. It's going to come down. This 5th round, they come down to whether or not Sacred are able to get players in an aggressive enough position. But we do see Shupa and Kai taken down. Right on the spire is really their only hope.
Yeah, I just want to go back to the mid. Oh, Rondo's be able to just run in. 2v1, Scandalous and 27 and cap the point. 27 should have had that every day and every day, but never mind. The final score is going to be 5-2, and that is a Sacred victory on Badlands. That sets them in good stead for seeding into that 4-2, I just got told.
5-2.
It is 5-2 though.
It is 5-2.
So yeah, the final score there is 5-2 due to Rondo sneaking in, but it was all dead and gone as soon as we went down to 2 minutes and Kids beefed that mid-fight. They had one last opportunity to really rail 2 rounds together when it was 4-2, and both of their soldiers tried to go aggressive on their own crate and got absolutely destroyed. Just Uga and Riot going ham there, hitting some air shots, obliterating the soldiers. There was nothing that they could do. They got a little bit outclassed on the mid-fights, in my opinion. The rest of the game, transitional plays, moving backwards and forwards, taking the Uber fights, they were fairly equal, but Sacred really outplayed them on the mids.
Yeah, I did feel like Sacred really just had the upper hand in their deathmatching ability on the mids, because it was on the mids that they were actually showing how aggressive they could be. It was on the mids that Shupa was jumping at his most aggressive. It was on the mids where their scouts were like trying to take position with their demo, and that was when we saw the best side of Sacred. We didn't see that when they were pushing second. We didn't really see that when they were pushing those sort of, I suppose, maybe the half set strats for middle. Their aggression was really able to pay off for them, and it was the only time they really even sought to use aggression to like the type of weapon that it was for Kids all game.
Yeah, I'm going to be trying to find the logs, but I've no idea where they've gone. So, who knows, man? Who knows? Do you know what game we'll be covering next as well? This is, of course, the ozfortress Summer Cup 2016 qualifier and seeding stage. So, it's a 16-team tournament, but with about 2 or something signups, maybe a little bit less than that. They have decided to do a seeding and qualifier stage. The teams to seed in this section of the tournament will not be able to participate in the actual cup itself, and the other teams get seeded in and play against each other accordingly. So 1 point there, essentially, to Sacred, and unfortunately, Kids are going to have to play in order to keep themselves in this one.
Yeah, it seems just like I feel Kids has definitely the sort of the ability to get it done whenever they face their next opponent. I feel like they were quite a solid team. Did feel like some of their decision making let them down a bit. Some of their Ubers were sort of, they tried to use, especially in even Uber situations, they seem to be like, they multied a lot, they used from low ground, they never even tried to like end in a safe position and try and like catch people overextending. They never really tried to do anything except from Uber in from a bad position and then have your medic and demo get killed when they're trying to get out with like half a second of Uber left. And so I felt that was where they got most exposed. When it came time to make like really crunch decisions, when it came time to say like, we're going to push scout demo top left in like 5 seconds. And we saw that most powerfully maybe when they gave up a 36-second Uber advantage, which basically means that they had like 95% Uber when the enemy medic spawned, and they managed to give that up just solely based on indecisiveness. Then they decided to use into the opposition's last just after the other team had Uber, and they just got absolutely smashed when it should have effectively, if they push at any time during that 36 seconds, that's a free round, 2-2, maybe even like 3-2, and suddenly it's a whole different game, and Sacred are playing from behind.
I'm taking a look at the logs now, and we were spotting with the mid fights. 5 of them went to Sacred, only 2 of them went to Kids, and those ones right at the beginning as well. So they traded for a while. It was Sacred Kids, and then just a spree of Sacred mid fights. And the ones that they won, they were really dominant on as well. And always, it was always the person who capped the mid who ended up capping the last point as well. So
Yeah.
a real area for easily identifiable for Kids to try and improve.
Yeah, I think that's one of the more telling stats was that every single time someone won a round, it was also the team that won mid. And we talked about the fact that Sacred were dominating mid fights all game, and it turns out that dominance is like almost directly correlated with their dominance in overall rounds. And so maybe if Kids were able to step up their mid fights, they'd be able to compete with Sacred over the length of an entire 30-minute game. And so instead of 5-2, we might be seeing like a much closer scoreline in the end, maybe because their middle players improved. As we see, it was so important throughout that game. I think the heal distribution is quite interesting. When we have a lot more heals for the Sacred pocket, taking like 38% of the heals or something, whereas the Kids pocket took 29% of the heals. And we just generally, or maybe those stats are broken because apparently.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at them, and they seem fairly broken actually. I'm not sure what's going on.
Of heals.
Yeah, exactly. And the scouts only received 292 heals. I feel like that can't possibly be correct, especially given that it's such a low amount of healing. Normally, you'd have almost 3 times the amount of healing that is shown on these logs. Who knows what's happened to logs.tf? But it's interesting. You can see how Riot performed just based on the KD, the damage that he's putting out as well. He's 33 for 14 with 10k damage. The next best player in terms of damage is Lei, the enemy Demoman. Next best in terms of kills is the enemy scout as well. So he's really carrying his team in terms of the key stats that you'd want your pocket to be delivering. Shupa not doing so great on stats, but delivering big plays when they were required. And Uga as well, just pumping out fairly consistent stuff. But I don't think it was really the... there's individual people that you can highlight in terms of not really performing. I feel like Kai, if they really want to step up their game, has got to be performing better than that. 13 for 20 on such a powerful role on Badlands. You really have to...
DPM as well.
Yeah, is not really good enough. Like, you have to be able to step your play up better than that.
Yeah, well, if you just look at the damage stats, you see Riot in first place obviously did an enormous amount of work for his team, and I don't think we gave him that much credit during the game, but it's clear looking at the logs just how influential he was in terms of both kills and damage. The next 3 players all played for Kids. So Lei, SPJ, and Ohai, they're all playing for Kids, and so they managed to put out more damage on almost like every front. So that's their pocket, their demo, and the top fragging scout of the game. But they still managed to lose to a team which did like much less damage than them as a whole. And that's an interesting reflection on like the importance of like just general damage versus the impact damage. Shupa, I think, is interesting. Shupa had 13 to 26. It doesn't look like a great game. 13 frags is not too much of a worry if they're impact frags, if they're forces on the medic, like he was getting at mids. He was giving his team so much room. 26 deaths is a bit of a worry. Obviously, SPJ had 23, which isn't great, but 26 deaths is like significantly above, I suppose, average, and it was the most deaths in the game. And it does mean that his team was without a roamer like a significant amount of times on the flank. You're effectively dying about once a minute for the length of the 30-minute game. And I feel like that there was one example which particularly comes to mind, which was he overextended in house with the direct hit, trying to hit rockets on someone in race up, got killed from like balcony, like very obvious play. And suddenly the roamer for blue is able to sneak around on the flank, pick up 3 kills because the team's looking like the complete wrong way. And that was what I think was another one of Sacred's biggest problems. They didn't seem to be placing like much of a premium on their lives. And so it was okay if they lost a scout or if they did a lot. Kai died a lot in situations where he should never have died. Uga died a lot as the first pick in pushes and things like that, or he was the pick which kids were able to push off, and I felt like they were just giving up sort of free deaths, which not only like gave the enemy team room to push, but also stunted their own pushes. So Kai died when they were when they had uber advantage, had like trying to back off to defend their medic, which is just a death which is just so troublesome for your team because it basically means it neuters your next push. And so I felt like if Sacred are going to be able to compete against some of the higher teams and some of the teams who are really, really going to punish one-player disadvantages, they need to be placing more of a premium on the fact that they're alive, they can deal damage, they can watch the flank, they can place sticky traps, and they can do like all the essential roles that their class has in the team, rather than just saying like, it's a 5v5, who cares if I die or something?
Yeah, I completely agree. They've got a way to go before they're going to be able to contest the other people who've been absolutely slamming the competition on this first round in Badlands. And just taking a look at the brackets, you can see two teams that have been absolutely slamming the competition on Badlands were Labracadabradors and You Bad Lol, which I'm told is a group of people normally referred to as mates. I'm going to call them mates because it's easier to say than You Bad Lol every time I have to cast them. So we're going to be taking a look at their game coming up next on Process in round 2 of these qualifiers. Both of these teams managed to smash their opposition 5-0 in the previous round on Badlands. So these two teams, I think we should be in for some reasonably high-level TF2.
Yeah, Labracadabradors are sort of, I suppose that's the latest incarnation of the rack squad, based around the core players of, I suppose, like Tominus, aka Hobbs, and Dubious, aka one of the players called DDDDDD. That's very confusing for the casters. And on the other team, we do have the Mates team, some of the, like a lot of very notable players that have been around as sort of a semi-mixed team for a while. They have played Seasons of Hour together. I believe they've won Seasons of Hour together. A lot of like quite individually skilled players who don't seem to be committing that much time to like actively scrimming as what a quote-unquote proper team, but they do have some of like Australia's best sort of individual players. Notables on both teams, we have Dubious, who's been in and around a Division 1 level for like a very long time, as same being said for Tominus. We have on the Mates side, we have Jobro, who I believe was the youngest person ever to play Prem. Correct me if I'm wrong, someone who knows that, but I believe he was very young when he did. B25, aka Reut, one of the greatest sort of spy heroes in Australia, is going to be playing Demo Man tonight. He's quite good on almost every class, just a great player. Davey and Lan are their scouts. Not going to set the world on fire in terms of like just pure deathmatch ability, but they've been playing together on various classes for so long that they've built up like a great amount of chemistry. And I shouldn't sell, especially Davey, short on a deathmatching front, because when he's on, he's very on. Does anyone know who is going to be playing, who the DDDD person is now? Left me very confused.
So many Ds. Who knows? We'll have to see. We're gonna find out who DDDDDD is. It's the mystery of a lifetime. And in the meantime, our cameraman is going to fix some small issues with his PC. So we're going to go to a break now, just for a few small minutes while these two teams get in. And then we'll be going live with our second round on CP Process of the ozfortress 2016 Summer Cup Qualifiers.